Hey guys, it's Shaylin Marie and I am back with a speed build. I decided to mix things up a little bit and actually build a community lot this time around. This is going to be called Georgie's Gastropub, and it is a community lot that is labeled as a university hangout, which means that your college students can go and hang out and have a good time. I tried to add a lot of different things in so that they could actually spend some time together at this lot. I don't really love the existing student hangout, the pub that's there, so I really wanted to rebuild it, sort of mirroring pubs that I actually see in real life, bars that I remember from my college days, things that actually look a little bit more realistic and also had a little bit more space to hang out in, and also had some varying activities instead of the it was really just the bar, and then there were some tables in the other student hangout area. And so I really wanted them to be able to maybe play darts or play one of the card games or table games. And I even put in a microphone so that they would be able to do like stand-up comedy or sing or something, just to, to give them a little bit of variety. I did start doing landscaping, which is weird because I normally don't do landscaping until I am much further along in the build. But for this one, I had a pretty clear sense of exactly what I wanted it to look like, and so I wanted to make sure that I put those little bits of greenery out before I got too far into the build. I knew I wanted those little sort of porch or like veranda areas where people could sit outside at tables on nice days, and perhaps maybe use the space to study during the day, or just hang out with friends while they're having drinks from the juice bar during the evening. I played with a bunch of different window styles here, trying to decide exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted it to look like a more traditional sort of university space, maybe like an Irish style pub, or at least Irish style pubs that we have here in America. And so I really tried to find something that blended between looking sort of traditional but also clean and modern. I ended up landing on these windows, which I believe came with Discovery University. I just ended up using those windows because they fit the best. I'm still not totally 100% happy with them, but they were the best stylistic option that I had at the time. It does take me a little bit of time here to decide exactly what I want to do with the floor plan. I end up keeping it really open and trying to make sure that there's just, plenty of space for people to hang out. I don't believe that I ended up putting in bathrooms at all. So I guess if people need to go to the bathroom, they're going to have to use that bush outside, which I did place. I don't know if that was my mentality at the time, but that's how it ended up. So there are no restrooms that I can recall putting in, but there is the bush outside if they choose to use the fertilized option that we have available to us. Just setting out some glass tables now, making sure that Sims have plenty of places to sit and congregate. There's always like very limited seating in the EA builds, and I like having lots of different places for people to sit because I think that looks more real life. Most places don't just have like 2 tables outside, they'd have several, especially for days when the weather is nice. So I tried to put some of these out here, again, trying to utilize a modern sort of aesthetic while also looking semi-traditional. Doing more landscaping now. I really liked those hedges. I liked that they added a little bit of privacy to those porch areas and also added some greenery without being overwhelming. And also, I guess I'm a little sensitive because I have allergies, and so I don't like sitting where there's a ton of flowers. So I wanted to try to keep things just green and lush without it being floral in nature. I knew I wanted to use the bar that came with University because I think it looks really cool, and I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think that looks really cool. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I think it looks like many traditional bars. And I in bar spaces. I love that detail that we have up at the top. I just think it's so cute. So I do end up using this. I knew exactly right away. I used the stools from Discovery University as well. Really trying to utilize the pack because it is a student hangout in the Discovery University world. So I wanted to make sure that students, or that it sort of reflected the things that we got with that pack. I played around with so many different variations of those countertops, really trying to figure out if I wanted something that was almost like a galley kind of style, or if I wanted it closed in. I ended up going with the galley style just because it's easier, and I would imagine that realistically it'd be easier for Sims who are working at the student hangout to get into that space instead of having it closed off. I don't know that I would keep it this way if I was to do it again. I might actually build up walls around the bar, or maybe utilize some of the posts with the spandrels, I think we call them. I might do something like that. I don't know. But I really liked keeping it kind of open and clean, and again, utilizing pretty traditional cabinetry while still trying to keep things looking modern. I did end up having to lift those cabinets up because I wanted to put those shelves underneath the cabinets and above the lower cabinets. I thought it looked really cool, and I thought it was an interesting way to display the different types of bottles. I decided not to put them on this side because I really wanted to use some kind of shelving to showcase like different things that might be in the bar. So I played around with some different options here. Ended up, moving that really low and then putting up some shelving up above it. Keeping it in that black. Trying to utilize a lot of the black because the windows are black and a lot of the indoor features of the bar are black. Trying to just put some clutter on the shelves here. I will probably mention it in every video how maddening I find those shelves because it's just so difficult to look through the catalog of items that we have and find things that actually fit there and will actually like snap to that part of the build. So I end up a lot of times just lifting things up, but even that can be really complicated. I'm trying to size down these. It kind of ends up working. Things look a little cluttered, but that's sort of the purpose of putting clutter on the shelves after all. So that's what I ended up doing. I thought those look like things that might potentially end up as garnishes for some of the foods that are served at the bar, or potentially garnishes for drinks that are served. Just adding like a little decoration over here. Maybe it's a holiday. Again, just trying to add things around like lemons and limes, things that would be found in bars as people are making drinks and whatnot, trying to make sure that those kinds of things are featured so that it looks real and it looks much more fun and interesting than just having completely blank countertops. I used that journal. I use that a lot in spaces where, people might be writing something down. For instance, I thought maybe one of the bartenders would have like drink recipes written down, maybe sort of like the bartender's guide to the different drinks that they might have. So I put that on the counter. It could also be like a waitress's book, or something like a menu book or something like that. But I just thought it was a really interesting use of that particular little item. I use these really industrial stools here. I just really love those stools. I use them a lot. I think they're really awesome looking. They're one of my favorite pieces of content. And this is where I start trying to figure out where to sort of put like a stage, I guess, is really what I was aiming for. A place where, a lot of bars do things like open mic nights, and so I wanted there to be a place where Sims could come up and do stand-up comedy, or could do like an open mic night. I didn't put any musical instruments in this space, I don't think. But you could obviously add those if you wanted to download this from the gallery. And it is available on the gallery already. It is called Georgie's Gastropub. And you can also just search under my EA ID, which is Shaylin Marie, ShaYennNNMarie. I love this Discovery University housing, or the Discovery University furniture. I just think it's so amazing. It's like modern without being too much. And I like the color swatches that it comes in. Some are a little bit bright, but I think that they worked really well for what I was going for here, which was just sort of like really comfy seating around the stage area where people could just kind of lounge. You know, if no one's performing, people could just kind of, you know, sit down there with their friends and hang out, or people could study in that space. I don't know how many people actually go to the bar to study. I guess that doesn't really make a ton of sense, but in my head at the time that I was designing this, it seemed cool. I also used these photos partly as a way to light up that space without it being really too bright, but also because I thought that maybe, you know, people would take photos with their friends and then hang them, or they would have like different acts or different flyers posted up there from the various things that they would have done. I just took a rug under that microphone just to sort of highlight that space, and, you know, depending on, you know, where you're looking, it could also kind of look like a spotlight from up above. Just finding some clutter items now: salt, pepper shakers, napkin holders, another canister of lemons, a stack of magazines, just things that you might find on tables if people were around. Now, obviously, maybe not if the bar was empty, but if there were people there, maybe people would have, like, you know, been reading a magazine and set it down. So it's going to be totally realistic for like when a bar isn't open, but when it is open, you know, people would put things on the tables in front of them. I imagine that that was some kind of like school flag, and that this would have like, you know, like a bus schedule on it, or would have like a subway schedule, something that the students would use to navigate the area around. I kind of saw this bar maybe being in like a little downtown area where Sims would need to find transportation to be able to, you know, make it back to their dorm, or maybe, you know, get to class or something. So that's what I thought about on the outside. Now I'm just really trying to figure out what I'm going to put on the interior, because I wanted places, like I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted places where Sims could actually hang out. So I wanted to put some of these gaming tables and some of these dartboards up so that there were activities that Sims could do together other than just drinking at the bar. And I just used folding chairs at those tables, nothing crazy fancy. Obviously, you could always, you know, put different chairs in if you decided to download this or whatever. I just used folding chairs because I thought maybe, you know, that was like a game night kind of item. It wasn't something that was out all the time at the bar. Maybe it was like a particular like theme night. So that's what was going through my head. And I just wanted just like wood floors. Just wood floors, something pretty traditional, pretty clean, and trying to find a wall, like some kind of like wall covering, was so difficult. I ended up going with just this stone because I thought that that was a really interesting way of making it look like the building had been there for a bit, but maybe had been like renovated, and the new owners had embraced that existing like stonework, you know, visible stonework, and, you know, using brick like that and having it be really open and visible is really in. So that's what I was hoping. It also really simplified things because then I didn't have to try to find a paint color that wasn't so bright that light would reflect off of it and bounce off the wall so much and make the bar almost like too bright on the interior, but also not trying to make it look super like dark and dreary. So it was a nice way for me to sort of embrace like the traditional, but also have it be pretty modern and kind of industrial looking. The original build did have those flags, and I thought that they were really cool, and I loved the placement of them, so I wanted to make sure that we brought those back to sort of harken to that original build, because I really did enjoy some of the decorations that they had out front. Now we're just kind of taking a look at things. I think it's around this time when I realized that there would be some kind of rug on the inside. I also think I realized at some point that there aren't any windows other than at the front, which I guess is kind of realistic because bars don't typically have a ton of windows, especially when they're older, like I would imagine this bar to be. But I do end up fixing it because it's just so much. So right now I'm putting the windows in. And I did hang some pictures on the wall, things that kind of look like they might be like pictures of sports teams or pictures of like the original buildings of the university. Something that would make it look, again, like it had been here for a while, like it was a pretty established part of university life. So in my experience, that's really kind of how bars end up being. Oh, then I realized I didn't have a TV, which seems kind of silly. So I deleted one of the windows and put up a TV so that people could come and watch sports events or could watch whatever's on. I also put a jukebox so people could play music and dance if they wanted to. So again, this is available on the gallery if you are interested. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Shaylin Marie. You can also follow me here. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I hope you check out some of my other videos. Thank you so much for watching.